are on and you're communicating to them. Thank you. All right, you're good to go.
I would like to call the meeting of the Building Committee for Public Safety to order at 12:02. First on the agenda is public input. Do we have any input from the public? None. Item 2, approval of the minutes from the April 16th, 2025 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 3, discuss and act on the development of the public safety complex, including but not limited to the assessment plan. We're going to go A, B, and C, assessment plan, proposed design, and location. The assessment plan, Chief Hobie and Scott Cattell and I met a couple weeks ago, and we sat down and we kind of mapped out what we need in terms of essential spaces. And we have a pretty good idea how we need to get this, how this all is going to need to be laid out. And I'm going to let Scott speak to this a little bit because he is a little better at the design portion of this.
That was Scott Patel. As Chief Dean had alluded to, I did meet with Chief Dean and Boldy. We laid out regarding the fire station, kind of a programming aspect, how many particular rooms, square footage of each of those rooms in a best practice scenario. Rooms kind of belong, whether they belong on the lower floor because they're more fire related, and whether they could belong on the second floor because they're either more EMS related or hybrid offices, administrative type stuff like that. So we've come up with two grouping per se. One, Chief Hobie has in front of me. I think one of them is approximately 2,600 feet for the lower floor. Is that right, Chief? That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes, sir.
And then the upper floor has 4,600 in.
Yeah, 4620.
Office space, storage space, meeting space, and the like. So we haven't laid the rooms out yet as to what goes where. That's kind of the next level of, you know, what belongs closest to exits, what should have confidentiality and privacy type of stuff with like fire chief's office or fire marshal office would have more privacy than general quarters where the members, the volunteers would spend their time with the case may be. So we put that together and identifying kind of a layout, a simple layout, but a layout enough that we can forward to an architect once an architecture firm has been chosen to work with us on the drawings and budget and that type of stuff. On the police department side, Chief Dean and I have spent some time on the relocation of the ambulance building adjacent to the police station, where it would fit, how to utilize the space and make it work to the best interest of the police department as well as the taxpayers and of the island as a whole. We think we've got a good plan, and the next steps are I have forwarded a sample request for proposal or request for qualifications draft. I forwarded to both Chief Dean and Chief Hobie for their review, and upon their review, asking them to forward it to the town manager for her review and ultimately the blessing to advertise it, or they go to the council depending on what the town's proper procedures are. So that's the update that I can provide you. If there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Don't have any?
No. Thank you.
All right. 3B is proposed designs. The chief, Chief Hobie and Scott and I have sat down a couple of times. We have kind of a rough idea of where we would like to lay things out. Doug Michelle had also given Chief Hobie some proposed designs in the last day or two, which we have not really had a chance to sit down and really kind of digest those. I think in terms of the proposed designs, because Doug's really good at laying things out in terms of square footage, making sure things fit right. And I think maybe the best thing perhaps is for the three of us to meet and sit down and look at the two basic designs of what we have and with what Doug has, and have this discussion with Doug and see if he can help us come up with, the exact design that we want to put forward towards an RFQ and what we're looking at to do moving forward.
I do have those renderings that Doug sketched up here with me if anybody's interested in looking at them. Otherwise, like I said, we can get Doug, myself, and Chief Dean and Scott to have a sit down and massage them and look at them and see if it's if it would work or not work, etc.
I know it's preliminary, but are you finding, we have the room to take care of everything that you want? In both
With-
police and
This
fire?
here, yes.
I mean, are you happy so far with how,
What Scott has
spacing and
proposed to
all
put
that.
up here, yes.
Mhm.
But it's a two-story building instead of a three. And what our needs are for the inside are laid out by the square footage, and there's enough square footage away from the trucks behind them and
And
the
land,
upstairs for
and
offices.
land
etc.
wise and all that too, everything's,
Yeah, so land wise, when the
Mhm.
rescue building gets moved around back, which that needs to be towards the end of the process.
yeah,
For tear down the other buildings, to be able to move it back there. You keep in mind when the existing fire station is gone and the rescue's gone, there's gonna be a lot more room up there,
Correct.
you know? So it's just, I still question, do we, and the engineers will figure this, do we have a buildable lot, especially when we're going towards Negus Park down that way?
correct.
You know, and I guess that would be up to the engineers to decide that.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that would come up that way, so
Mhm.
I think Scott, Chief Dean, myself, and Doug Michelle should get together after Memorial Day sometime and have a sit down and lay his vision out also
Mhm.
and see if that may or may not work.
Yeah, because I spoke to Doug a little bit this past week. And he had some concerns about just the steepness of the bank and the drop
Yep,
going down, Ocean.
understandable.
And
Yeah.
and what the height of the wall is. And
Mm.
I said, I'm not a builder, so I don't know what you can or can't do.
Right.
And as Doug had pointed out, and
Oh,
you might know better, Bills, just in terms,
topography map on
just in terms of like
Yeah.
laying a footing on virgin soil.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you can't, apparently you can't fill in and lay footings on it, so,
Plus, if you got all doors in the front, you'll have to go to frost depth, which means it's even deeper.
right,
So-
so I think that looking at, we know where we wanna put it, we know where it would be,
Is it gonna?
where it would be best.
Yeah, yeah.
Engineering wise, do we end up with a 20-foot wall on that east end of it?
Right.
Because it has to be down to virgin soil to
Mhm.
put, so. We know where we want to put it, it's whether the engineers can make it that
What it
work.
takes to put
But
it there.
speaking of
Right.
engineers, we gotta get to the point where, and Scott can speak to this, that, what was the acronym for that? That we need to put out there?
The RFQ.
The RFQ.
Request for qualification.
Right, so I think after the meeting with Doug and ourselves, and then we need to start getting that RFQ out there so people can bring forward what they do
Mhm.
and narrow it down to the firm that we want to do it. But I think we're pretty close to that step. Don't you think, Scott?
Respectfully, at the committee level, I think we are at the appropriate time and location information. We know what we need for space needs for the fire trucks, the rescue trucks. We know what we need for office space, storage space, training, equipment, that type of stuff. We've done a good job of laying that out with best practices on square footages. Whether we go with a layout that I gave originally, which is just a very, very vanilla rectangle, following what Kirk and Aronian had drafted there. Whether we go with that scenario or we go with one of the scenarios that Doug has proposed, it's kind of at the point now, it's the engineer or the architect's job. He's the one that's gonna look at the lot. He's the one that's gonna say, okay, what we have here, which is 140 feet long, doesn't really fit because of the drops. If we do this, we can make it fit. We know what we have for square footages, we know what we have for storage needs of fire trucks and the like. I don't know as we, committee, we need to get much deeper than I think we should sit down with Doug's plans. And out of due respect to Doug, the amount of time he's put into it, let's sit down with his and say, and determine whether what he has proposed will work, won't work,
Right.
maybe a portion of it, maybe it's a combination between what we had originally and what Doug had put together, and we find some middle ground. But at the end of the day, it's the architect and engineers who are going to come back to you as the customer and say, you asked us to design a approximately, 20,000 square foot building. We understand your needs and just how we feel best fit on your site. So, I think that's where you're at right now. I think that as a committee, the next steps is the RFQ and getting that out, getting some solicitation back from interested bidders, architect, engineering firms. And get them in here to sit down with the committee. I think what we've done, I think we've saved the town a lot of money in time. Instead of starting from scratch with the engineers and architects, we've already done a lot of front loading here. That they could actually take what we've done after one or two visits here and go back and start doing some drawings that the committee can digest and start asking questions on. If we all start from scratch every time, then we're not gonna move forward. I think we're in a good position right now to hopefully hire a company in the next few months, get them on board, give them their ample time to do what they gotta do. To me, it's a simple building, but depending on the workload of the firm that's hired, it could take them 2 or 3 months to draw this up with multiple meetings, not just draw it up. Like, come out here with a conceptual, go back and do some tailoring and that stuff, and then give you a product that, one, you can come up with a budget. Two, everyone here as stakeholders can become comfortable with the design, the layout, how it's gonna work for the community. And then take it to the council, the voters, and go from there. Okay.
Okay. Item number 4 on our agenda is to discuss and act on the RFP. Scott has passed along a preliminary one to Chief Hobie and I. And at this point, it's a matter of Chief Hobie and I taking a look at that and passing that along to Amy. And, as the manager, and if she is in agreement with it, then, bringing it forward and pushing that forward and trying to keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
Good. That's it for the agenda. Does anybody have anything else?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Then could I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
When's the next date?
Keith?
Um, The 18th of June.
18th of June,
18th,
Yes.
1/8.
8th of June,
18th.
18th, let's say that Sunday.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.